Hello everyone, welcome to SPTV or Spiritual Psychics TV. I'm Kay Cook. I'm a medium and I'm also a rune reader and intuitive. And this evening I shall be working purely with the runes. I will not be doing mediumship. Obviously intuition comes into it. Another time later on in the summer, I will be doing mediumship and giving evidence of survival. But tonight we're going to have some fun with the runes. And I'm just going to notice who's coming in here a little bit and welcome you. So we've got Millie B. And I understand that a few moments ago, we had about 22 people and I expect we've got a few more now. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you would like a rune reading, is to pick 3 numbers between 1 and 24, because when you're not with me, that is how you are able to select your own runes. So I'm waiting now to receive some numbers. And hello Sherry, hello, nice to meet you. I love your dog. Hi Hesval. That's an unusual name, isn't it? I wonder where you are in the world. Hello, Cristiano Norberto. Nice to meet you. I wonder if people would like to say where they are in the world. Hi there, Michelle Lilly. Good evening. Lovely to meet you too. And you too, Lisa Coombs. Hi there. And Wendy Gorley on Facebook, and Claire Kendall on Facebook. That looks like a fun picture. Natalie Bentley, good evening to you too. Hi there, Sophie. And Louise Passmore, lovely to see you here. And Karen Aldous in Norwich. I used to live in Essex and we used to travel through Norwich sometimes. Hi there, Laura Doherty from Northern Ireland. And Mo Dare Leave from China. Wonderful. We really are stretching out into the world, aren't we? And Charmaine Walsh from Ireland. And Carol Jarrett, your first time here. What a lovely picture with the baby. How beautiful is that? Now don't be scared. If you'd like a reading, just type 3 numbers between 1 and 24 in the box and I will work with you. Hi there, Terry. Nice to meet you too. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce that, but you're from Central Europe? Is it Karunka? I can pronounce the surname Karunka, but I Stubrum Karunka. Is that a Czech name, I wonder? And Charmaine, I've already greeted you, haven't I? And Charlotte Virginia Yates Smith. Good evening. Good evening to you too. Hey. Your name rhymes with mine. Good evening, Christine. Okay, thank you. I'm ready to start. I'm ready to roll. 11, 12 and 20. So I'm just going to cast them, which it's a part you can't do when you're with me. It would seem to me quite strongly that this person either has a decision they want to make now, or Debbie, that you have a decision you would like to make now, or you know that there is a decision coming up that you're thinking about. And when we get this rune called Gjöf, which looks like an X, it always tells me that you should give yourself a gift in the form of a decision. Of course, the runes can't tell you which way to make your decision, but the indications are that a decision is helpful to you and helpful to you in moving you forwards, because it seems that the things that you've wanted change with have tended to be rather static in your life. The other two runes are saying also in a way that you need to put yourself first, and also reminding you that you should hope for in the future receiving good times that are every bit as good as you had in the past. Don't think that your good times are behind you. I know we can all get into life beats us around a little bit sometimes, and we can get into feeling that our good times are in the past. But these runes are saying, no, look forwards, be positive. Yes, there is a decision that is indicated to help you on your way, but you will know when it is the right time to make that decision. And whilst quite often when we make a decision, we hold back a little bit for a time, the indications are for going forwards that a decision is necessary to enable you to blossom, really. That's the best way I can describe it. And also with this rune, give yourself a gift in the form of a decision. There's always a gift in there that you did not expect. In other words, when you've made the decision, when you've gone forwards a few months, you would look back and say, yes, there is something here, that something nice happened to you that you did not expect. That something nice might be meeting somebody, unexpected money, a really joyful occasion, a new hobby or interest. It could be anything. But when you look back, you would say to yourself, if I hadn't made that decision, then I wouldn't have been in the right headspace, time or place to have that come to me, to have that come into my life. So, these runes are are encouraging you really to be positive, but also to bear in mind the benefits that can come from making a decision when you feel it's right and in the way that you feel is right. And I'm going to leave that with you, and hopefully it's helpful to you. And I will ask for the next set of numbers, please. Okay. Okay, Richard, I would actually like to work with you. So I'm going to pick the runes that you have indicated here. And what I will say is I moved them around, so the universe has to help out. The universe has to, I believe there is a relationship between the runes, the person choosing them, and of course me reading them, and the runes themselves. So I deliberately don't put them back in the same position so people can't select that way, but this is good. Now, I don't know if the readings are going to have a particular theme tonight of choices and decisions. Sometimes we find that that does happen. Other times, every reading has got a very different theme. But with this one, we've got Dagar, which the way it's fallen in reverse, that's not a negative thing, but it is telling me that in some way something new is needed. It's like when something in your life that was good comes to, a full stop, or it's grinding to a halt, or it's no longer, what you would want. And there is a moving on that is indicated here, and moving on that would allow you. So in a way, this is a little bit like a decision, but it's more of a process. But there is, at some point, a little decision in there. A moving on whereby you're saying, I need to make this change so that I can get more of what I need in my life. That this is showing here. but there is to try to see it as the completion of a cycle and the beginning of something new. Because the third rune that we've got here, which looks like an R standing on its head because it's upside down, this is Wraith or Rado. It's like a wheel. If we were reading tarot, this would be the Wheel of Fortune, would be very close to it in meaning. And when it's upside down in a rune reading, what it's actually saying is there is a cycle that is drawing to a close. So don't try to force it to keep going, but something new needs to open. Now, how does that sit with you, Richard? If you're able to type in the box, I know that I might not get the message immediately, but that these three runes, it is very clear. Two of them are indicating really that you're coming to the end of a cycle or have come to the end of a cycle. And then the moving on, the moving forwards, so that something new can open and life can once again feel fulfilling in the area that in a way you've lost from. Okay, Richard. He hasn't said anything in response. Okay, that happens sometimes. And very helpfully, I've got my McPhee security scanner just started, so I've got to switch that off. Okay, good, because it should make sense. The runes normally make sense, but this is just sort of telling you really, I'm still trying to switch this off and it's close. No, it is not allowed to continue scanning. So to come back to you, Richard, that's what this is saying, that the completion of a cycle, but then something new will open when you make the effort to move on. It can sometimes be a little bit difficult to cut ties, to move on, which can be ties from habit, you know, because we are creatures of habit very, very often. But the encouragement is there. So I'm going to thank you for working with me, Richard. Put the runes back, and we're going to see who else would like to submit some numbers. Okay. Okay, 6. Go to Zannalee because it's okay. We'll do Eddie first. We'll do Eddie first and then Zannalee, if that's all right. So we've got 6, 19, 13, and I'm just going to cast them. So Eddie Raven, I like that name. Now, let me see. Okay, this is interesting. You've got Lurg or Lega, which is always about emotion. It's about the ocean of emotion within us. And I always say an ocean needs to move. And the fact that Lurg or Lega is coming upside down here indicates that there is a need to move on some emotion from the past, to work your way through it. But, you know, this rune is reassuring you that if you put the work in, it will reap rewards, you know, however you want to do that. Some people do meditation. You know, there's various ways of working through emotion, isn't there? And trying to, you know, sort of feel it in a different perspective that's more reflective of where you are at in life now. And then you've got a lovely rune, Manes or Martha, which, you know, Manes is mankind. Martha, as one of the names I work with in Icelandic is Martha, and it literally means man, but it's mankind. And that's the central rune to this reading. It's coming upside down. So it's about learning to put yourself first in relationship with others, and tells me that your role, as we're all in a way servants to humanity, and what this rune tells me in its reverse position is that you need to put yourself first a little bit more, and to ask yourself the question, you know, does this person really need me to put them first? You know, okay, if somebody, you know, is old and ill, or they've got a desperate need, we need to put them first in a way, don't we? Or at least for a time. But this is, you put others first a little bit too much is what this rune is saying. So find ways to put yourself first a little bit more is the encouragement here. And then we've got Odil or Odila in the, again, in the upside down position. And as I say, reversed, I don't read them always as negative. But what this tells me is that there's either been a branch that has fallen off your family tree, so to speak, a major group of friends that you're separated from, or you've moved away from where you have roots, from where you still feel you have roots. And of course, we all need to do that sometimes. And that's what this rune is saying, but it's just telling me the picture. But at the same time, we can build new roots. We can find ways to take the strength from those positive times and places in the past, positive memories, and also the strong people within our family heritage. You know, if you have a strong grandparent or great-grandparent and you've heard the stories, that can be a source of inspiration. I hear you saying that you're stubborn and you find it very difficult to ask for help, but you've just done so. So again, remember the strength that you already have, because it's easy to forget that. And, you know, with regards to your sister, it's entirely up to you whether you're in touch or not. But, you know, some people they need not to be in touch. Other people, they need to be in touch. And I don't believe we should ever judge. But at the same time, think about how that feels for you and what would feel best for you. And if being in touch would feel better, don't be too proud to at least, you know, explore that in a tentative way and see how it feels. But this is about putting yourself first. And sometimes, of course, we do, you know, set limits, and those limits are right for a period of time. And then we need to release the boundaries a bit. And only you can decide whether that's right for you. But that's what these runes are speaking about. And I always find that whilst there is potential development indicated, the runes speak very much about the present moment. And that's what that's what is being said to you today as encouragement. But rest assured, you can work through any emotions that are holding you back and find ways to put yourself first a little bit more. And you've said that you're a carer, so I understand that, you know, it's a little bit challenging, but certainly in your private life it can be done. So I'm going to leave that with you, Eddie the Raven. Now I'm going to put them back in different places, and we will come to the lady. Okay, I'm glad to hear it. Right, so there was a lady who submitted. Zanali, that's it. Zanali, okay. So we've got 3, 6 and 9, okay. Nicely spaced numbers. Well, this is good. You've got Wraith Rado, which is the wheel of the R. I'll hold it here, it's too small, but it's like an R. And in that position, what it's telling me is your wheel of life is moving forwards. So this is a positive thing. There's positive forwards movement here. You've also got next to it in the center a rune that I call Cowan, which is about what we need to heal within us. It's not saying that anything is wrong, but we've all got things that we need to, you know, maybe a little bit of a shadow from the past or something like that, that we need to heal or move on from. That is shown here. It's also known as Kene. Kene is like walking, it's like a torch to guide you. And you know how when we walk carrying a torchlight, we can only see one footstep at a time, really, or a couple of footsteps. We can't see the whole pathway. And what this is saying, as your pathway is moving forwards, you will gradually see it unfold rather than seeing the whole pathway all at once. And this is just really encouraging you to think that way of, yes, your wheel of life is moving forwards, but you don't have to see, you just look at the next steps. Don't think, you know, I've got to see the next 10 years or anything like that. It's just enjoying where you're walking at the moment in life and as it is unfolding. The third rune that we've got here is again Othilla. When Othilla is pointing towards the left, I read it slightly differently. And what this is telling me is that what is unfolding for you is something that you really deserve because you've worked for it, you've put effort in. And I feel also you've had to wait a little bit. You've had to be, as well as putting effort in, you've had to be patient. And this is also, you know, it promises good things on your pathway. Not necessarily riches, but enough and much to be happy with. Are you able to respond or not? No response yet. Okay, it doesn't matter. But, you know, it's nice to know if I'm hitting the nail on the head or not. But not a worry if she doesn't want to respond. Hopefully that is useful to you. Without a response, it's difficult for me to know for sure, but it feels as though it would be. So we're going to put them back and move on, move them around a little bit. There we are. Okay, so who have we got next? Okay, Tina. Oh, Tina is my middle name. Yeah. It often is, isn't it? There we are. So let's grab that and see where we go from here. That's nice. Okay. Right. We've got 3 runes here, and they basically talk about different areas. The one at the center is called Fair or Fairhu, and it's very much about your gifts and talents and your, I want to say, the wealth within. In the olden days, people would talk about wealth in terms of the sheep that a man or woman, usually a man, unfortunately, that a man owned, and that would be their wealth, rather than things that, or the tools of the trade would be the wealth, rather than fixed things like houses. And I want to say this rune speaks very much about the kind of wealth that you can take with you. So things like skills, the positive attributes of your personality that people warm to, what you've got to offer, your connections in the world, the way you're thought of in a positive way by others. All of these are part of your wealth. But for your wealth, to your talents and abilities to really have their fullest expression and bring you, you know, the greatest happiness and the greatest fulfillment, there is also with you a need for a decision, because we've got Gjöf or Gebo again. I always call it Gjöf, which is the Icelandic name, which actually means gift. But we've got this rune, and it does indicate that a choice or decision is required. It's not always an enormously heavy choice, but it's going to be something that feels heavier than sort of which pair of shoes to buy, because it, you know, it concerns how you operate in life. At the moment, there's a little bit of, I won't say downheartedness, but it's not upbeatness, because we've got here Wanyo, which the name of which literally means win and joy. The words give us the words win and joy that make up one yo, and it's upside down. It's like an angular piece standing on its head, and when it falls this way, you're finding it a little bit hard to access the qualities of feeling like a winner and feeling joyful. And what this is saying to me when I consider the three runes together is there is a decision that will be needed to help you to fully express and make the most of your talents and abilities, and also aspects of your personality. And you know, until there is a little bit of change, it's hard for you to feel like a winner in many ways. But do your best to maintain your self-confidence, because it's important you maintain your self-confidence, not least because you deserve to. And if I can leave that with you, I don't know if you're able to provide any feedback, Tina. It would be nice if you could, but I know that not everybody likes to. Oh. Okay. Oh, that is a shame, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, but thank you. Okay, I think that's possibly a good idea. Yes. Oh dear. Okay, I understand. I understand. But Tina, you will find ways to move forwards and concentrate on your talents and developing those, because that will help you. Oh, Laura Doherty. Okay, so we've got number 6. People seem to like number 6, number 11, and number 23. Okay. Right. Okay. Now, out of the 3 runes, there's 2 that indicate a little bit of challenge, okay? But one that is excellent, and I will start with the one that is absolutely excellent. That's Odin, Odila, or Odil. And this rune is lovely. We say it's Odin's rune, but it's very much about the strength that you've developed through life, but also the strength that comes from your ancestors and the, you know, the store, not just what you've inherited through your DNA, but also through the experiences, the stories that you've been told, and the challenges that you know some of your ancestors came through. And also I'm feeling the sense of humour with which some of your ancestors greeted life, with considerable humour when there was hardship, and that really did sort of stand them in good stead. And you'll be encouraged to look at the wider picture and to try not to be too serious too much of the time, to remember that you do have strength, that there is a lot of like life, when I say life skills, I'm not really talking specifically about job skills, but just handling life skills, resourcefulness that you take with you that can stand you in good stead. I know there's a little bit of a problem at the moment because we've got hail or hagley, and hail or halgaz, it's halgaz is also known as halgaz, but it's, you know, talks about hail. And I always use the analogy that if we go out when it's raining and we're wearing a good raincoat and it's got a nice hood, and we have a situation where we suddenly get a hail shower, it's not that bad, because we know that hail shower isn't going to be there very long. And it's rather like that with this rune. There's something here where life is limiting you. It's never just about the emotions. Obviously, how we respond to a limitation can make a difference. It's always about the circumstances around you. It's never just, it's not just how you're feeling. In other words, it may affect how you're feeling, but that isn't the cause. But it's there at the moment. But you have the resourcefulness to move on and forwards, and that is good. But the other thing that I see here that I would suggest you try to work on a little bit is there's a rune that I say is the tree of life, often called ear. It looks a little bit like a Christmas tree, and it's standing on its head in your reading, which basically says you need to try and think a little bit more highly of yourself. That would be helpful at the moment. Don't feel because of the limitation, that it's always going to be there, and don't feel that it's a reflection on you. Although I know that sometimes avoiding doing that can be a little bit hard, but that's what this rune is saying. And then you can turn it around and really plant your tree of life in the soil again, where it can receive all of the nourishment it needs, because there's also at the moment a sense of feeling a little bit cut off from some of the things that you need in life. But the positive indications are there for the future. So are you able to respond, Laura, and just let me know how? I know you've responded concerning the sense of humour. Okay. They are very quiet, aren't they? Yeah, never mind. Okay, I think I've said really all I needed to say, but it's nice to know if people understand or not. Okay, she understands. Good. Good. But just be encouraged and try not to be down on yourself because of the situation, because you've got a lot to offer. Okay, if I can leave that with you, and if we move on to the next person. And okay, John, let's go for John. So we've got 12, 8, and 7. Okay, John Maguire. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, I like this. I like the first one anyway. This is good in many ways. First of all, we've got fair fair in its most positive position. And this is the rune that speaks of the wealth within, the value that is within you. It's held within you. It's not just about what you own, although what you own might be a part of it, but it's that which you can take forwards with you and say, well, that is always going to be useful to have, useful to know, or those people are going to be useful to know. There's something here that is positive, that bodes well for you, although there is a little bit for you to overcome. You've got Isa or Is here, which is literally just like a straight line, standing straight upright. And I always say this rune is a lovely rune. It's fallen in its most helpful position in a way. In the olden days in Iceland, they would talk about this rune heralding pregnancy. In other words, new beginnings, not necessarily the birth of a baby. But when a pregnancy has been started, we know we've got to wait quite a bit before we're able to greet that child out there in the world. There's a gestation period. And that's what this is saying. Certain things that you've been working on to create stability have been progressing not quite as fast as you would like, if we can put it like that. And John, if you're able to respond at all and let me know how this is going so far for you, that would be great. And the other rune we've got is Dagar. And it's in, Dagar is the new day in its positive position, in its upright position, but it's come in reversed, which isn't so much negative, because sometimes we need something to draw to a close so that something else can become bigger or take its place. And I feel that that is the stage you're at, a stage of evaluating, a stage of thinking, well, I want stability and I've got a lot to give, but does there need to be adaptation to create that stability and to really make the most of your skills, abilities, attributes and personal qualities, not just in work, but in life? Okay. Let's see if John is able to respond. I know some people can and some people can't, or some people are inclined to and some people are not. Okay, maybe the delay is a longer one. I think it does depend upon some internet connections, but this is the desire here is to create something that feels very strong and stable. And there's certainly, in terms of, you know, talent and ability, the capacity to do it, but there seems to be a need for some adaptation to overcome something or some aspect that just hasn't been going forwards as you would have hoped, but there seems to be the scope to do that. So I'm going to move on now, and maybe if John's able to give feedback, we can bring it in later. So I will put those runes back and just move them around a little bit so we don't get people picking deliberately. Okay, so who's next? Okay, Siobhan. Siobhan, okay, so we've got number 7, number 12, and our number 4. Okay, this is good. This is different, and we often find we get a theme and the same runes seem to come out, not always fall in the same way, but certain runes seem to come out quite a lot on a particular evening. We've got Fair or Fair Who, Siobhan, this time. Again, it's about the talents, abilities, the wealth within, the positive personal qualities. And what this is saying is, because it's coming upside down, that there's a talent that you like to use that you're not really using either to the fullest or at all at the moment. And what that is indicating is, you know, sometimes this is a matter of choice. You know, we just feel it's not the right time. Other times life gets in the way a little bit, but it's reminding you that there will come a time when you can use that talent or ability more, or again, if you've stopped using it, if you choose to, that life will offer that opportunity. And at the centre of the reading, we've got Dages or Dagar. Dagar is the Icelandic name and it literally means day. It's the new day, and there will be a new day. This is indicating a new day that will dawn when you can use that talent that you want to use in a fuller way, because that's showing here. But there is also a need to do that, to, in a way, cut ties or move on, because we've got this rune here that's known as need, which literally the word gives us the English word need. It's also known as noith in Icelandic, which gives us the Icelandic word noithsini, which means necessary. And so there is a cut, there is a move in, there's a, you know, there's a change here that you have to make to bring this about. And it can feel like you have to cut out something in order to allow the space to, or the opportunity to be in your life for using that talent in the way that you would want to. But it, you know, it's one of those things that when you do it, it feels fulfilling, but you're the only one that can choose you know, the timing and how you want to do it, but a change is necessary to facilitate the using of that talent that you want to use. Now, does that make sense for you, Siobhan? Okay, we know she's quite responsive. She knows what the talent is, and she knows what it is that she's not using that she would like to use anyway. Okay, I think there's just a little bit of a delay, so I'll carry on talking. So these three, they really do work in balance. There is a new day that wants to dawn, which is positive, but there is this slight effort to make the change that is necessary, and that change could be on any level at all. It doesn't have to be moving house or area, and I'm not saying that it's moving house or area here, I don't think it is, but it's about organising time and being in a way available at the right time. I feel is something that would be helpful. So I'm going to leave that with you. Okay, who do we have next? Christiana, that's a lovely name. Oops, I'm trying not to drop them on the floor. I have done that before. I'm just going to let this fall and see how it goes. Okay, right, this is interesting. We've got Bergkanna or Björk here. It looks like, well, in its upright position, it looks like a letter B with angles. The way it's fallen, the straight edge is parallel to the ground, which tells me that there does need to be, or you would want there to be, some change at the foundation level of your life for you to feel, you know, as good as you can feel, for you to be at your best. Some change is necessary at foundation level so that something new can begin. And there's two runes that have come in with this, both in their most positive position. You've got Cowan, which is about, you know, overcoming any barriers that you need to heal within you. It's also known as Kene, which to me represents the torch that you can hold as you walk forwards. And this is a fire energy. It's very much about listening to inspiration, fostering your own creativity to shape your pathway. And that is strong here. I can feel that energy very strong as I'm talking to you. And then there is a decision to be made concerning how you go forwards, a choice that has to be made so that, again, that pathway can really burn as brightly as you would want it to. But again, you don't have to see the whole pathway. With Cowan, you're fashioning the pathway as you're going along it, but at the same time, that pathway is shaping you. It's a little bit like being shaped on the anvil of life. It is literally shaping your own as you're walking that pathway. And I feel that this is something that maybe you're held back from, or, you know, being maybe a little bit reticent of, but the only way to do it is to walk it one footstep at a time. It would be nice if, you know, with these things, we could be delivered to the final destination, but we can't. We have to walk the path. We have to live the path. And in living the path, we're shaped on the anvil of life. And then our soul gains what it really needs to gain. But there is, at some point with this, a decision to be made. And again, I'll talk about the meaning of Gebo or Gyöv, gift, about it's the kind of decision that when you look back from, you know, a few months after you've made it, you think, well, there's been benefits from making that decision, but there's also, that you didn't expect. But when you get it, if you'd have stayed just as you were, there wasn't really much likelihood that those benefits would have unfolded for you, because particularly in this reading, it's very much about personal growth, what you need to grow as a soul, as a person, as well as personal fulfillment and opening out what needs to open out within you. Hopefully that makes sense. I know you're saying it does. Hopefully the latter parts do as well. Lovely to work with you. I'm just moving them around a little bit. There we are then. So I'm ready for somebody else now. Okay, Lorraine, so we've got 7. Okay, if we can get that. 7, 8 and 9, okay. 8 hasn't been popular this evening. 7 and 9, I think, have been chosen a few times, but that doesn't mean you get the same runes because I moved them. But we have got runes that we've had before, which is nice. Right at the centre of your reading, we've got Berkana or Björk, which is also known as Freya's rune. And among other things, the Norse goddess Freya is a goddess of fertility, healing, and it's about, I want to say, creativity. There's always a new beginning in some way when Berkana appears in this position, in its upright position, looking like a bee with angles. There is always this fertile feeling, and there's an extremely fertile feeling that comes in with it. So anything new that you've started or about to start, the energies around it are very positive. And if this is using your talents and skills as well, so much the better, because we have got Fair or Fairhu again in its upright position, and to have these two in together is very good, because what it indicates is that whatever is new is a very good fit with you. Sometimes we can have something new and we can say, well, that's all right, but this is a very good fit with your personality, your personal talents, attributes, and so on. So that is very positive. And the healing side is, I think, also, and I want to say, as you help others to feel better, it's like you're feeling better too. There's real need here to extend that love and that helping others in whatever way feels right for you. Of course, at the same time, balancing your own needs, but that is part of your self-expression, because it's showing here. And I also feel that it's been quite an effort to get to the point that you're at now, because we've got the other rune is Wraith or Rado, the Wheel of Fortune, and it's, how can I say, laying on its back a bit. And when that happens, but I only want to relate it to the past, I don't want to relate it to the here and now. When that happens, we're talking about something that it's, you've had to push quite hard to get where you are. You've had to put the effort in, you've had to wait, you've had to be in the right place at the right time, as well as putting effort in. And so, well done you, because that is quite important. And I want to say, if there's things from the past that you wish had turned out differently, try not to think about it any more than you have to, because you're in a better place now. Is that okay for you? Hopefully it's so. Excellent. I like it when that happens. I'm just doing a bit of movement. Here. There we are. Okay, so I'm ready now for the next, if there's somebody else that would like me to work with them. Okay, great. millions of people. It's a lot. Okay, Michelle, so we've got number 20, 20, 20, 21 and 23, okay? All the 20s. Yes. Okay. Right. What I'm going to say here is that you're not in the most comfortable situation, if I can put it like that. It's not bad, but it's not, it's not the best situation. I'll tell you why. We've got Hagley or Hale looking like an H in its normal position. It's not in its more, how can I say, extreme form. So, but it is telling me that there are limitations around you that would feel, somewhat irksome. Who likes limitations? And they're the kind of limitations that are to do with circumstances or maybe lack of opportunity or something like that. It's something with this rune, it's always that is a little bit of a barrier or a limiting factor. That is showing here. And at the centre of the reading, you've got Is or Isa, which is in its upright position. That is the rune that I've already spoken about, that in ancient times was often referred to as indicating pregnancy, but it indicates a course of action that we want to bring about that is, slow to come. It's also ice, and I would say at the moment that sometimes life can feel a little bit cold and unwelcoming. I don't mean that there are not warm and loving people around you, but the processes of life that you're contending with in the, when the outside world meets you, if I can put it like that, are feeling a little bit not as helpful as you would like, a little bit cold and unwelcoming. And then we've got one standing on its head. This is the way I say with this rune, it's wind through into joy when it's in its upright position. And also with this rune, another name that I associate with it is the Icelandic word vendapunktur, which literally means a turning point. And we talk about vending machines, don't we? And you can understand the cyclical nature of that. But we're talking about here needing a turning point, because this is standing on its head, and it's that feeling of a turning point that is slow to come for you. But what I want to do is to pick one more rune for the future progression on this. So Michelle, if you could give me one more number, that would be great. Okay, because really, Michelle, I don't want to, if you're not able to, I will pick a rune, but I will give some opportunity here for you to choose another number, because I want to look at the future progression, because this is, it's been somewhat static, I want to say, and that has in a way taken away not just some of your confidence that I would ask you to work on, because I think that would be helpful to you, but it's this sense of I want to get going, but I haven't been able to. I know I can, but I haven't been able to. Right, so I'm going to pick another rune for you. I've got my eyes shut and I'm just feeling where I want to go. There we are. Okay, excellent. This is fabulous. I've picked Sowolu for you, which is also known as Sol in Iceland. Sol means sun. It's the sunshine rune. It is about better times. It is about winning through, making progress, feeling this, having that feeling that we have when we've got the sunshine on our back, assuming we like the sunshine, of course. But so this is indicating that where the slightly negative side of one yo standing on its head is some loss of confidence and sometimes self-doubt, is to turn that around and say, well, you know, we all hit circumstances that are not the best sometimes, and to see it as that rather than to see it as a reflection of you, but to keep going with what you're doing to try and make progress, because Sorolo is there to say, you know, there is scope, there is hope, there is warmth on the horizon, and times that feel much more welcoming to you. So if I can leave that with you, Michelle. Do we have time for one more? Oh dear, I won't, I don't know. Okay, so we've got 2, 16 and 22, okay. Our lady from China. I think she's the first person, assuming she's in China, the first person from in China that I've ever done a distance reading for. I've read for Chinese people here, you know, that were in Iceland at the time, but I don't think I've read someone in China. So this is a first, and this is lovely. At the centre of this reading, you've got answers, also known as answer. And what this is saying is the answers that you need to find at this time are actually available to you. The name of this rune, answers, comes from the old Indo-European word answaru, which gives us the English word answer and the Icelandic word svara. Svara means to reply or respond. And to me, sometimes responding is slightly more creative than answer, which can be just sort of 1 + 2 = 3. But this rune in the center is lovely. The other 2 runes are saying that answers are actually needed. And that isn't a bad thing, because when the answers are available, you know, it's not much of a problem. But there are two runes here. The other 2 runes here indicate something, an avenue in your life that is drawing to a close. And the first one is dagas or dagar, which when it's in the reverse position indicates, rather than a new day as in a beginning, it's more like, you know, twilight, the end of the day. So there might not have been something in your life draw to a close at the moment, but there would be the feeling that it's getting that way. The other rune that has a similar theme here, Avaz or Aka, is, I always say it looks like a letter M, but it's coming upside down. And when it comes in upside down, this is always about partnership. Whichever way it falls, it's about partnership. Your partnership with an employer. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but it can be. It can be with a friendship, but it either needs some serious work and putting on a very different footing, or it's ending. And you've just put up on the screen here that your job is coming to an end. So what this rune in the center of saying is, answers is saying, is you're in a good place to look for something else. And when it's signified by this rune, it's, you know, something normally that would be fulfilling and interesting, because answers brings, you know, it brings happy things. So keep going with your job search. If you haven't found anything yet, keep going with it, because, you know, that this is a very positive indicator that you're going in the right direction. So if I can leave that with you, lovely working with you. Okay. Yes. Okay, so we've got Rachel Galbraith, palmistry and tarot readings. That's tomorrow night from 8 p.m. So it's VIP special with Mirjam Schneider, astrology, star charts, moon, and so much more. That's on Friday, the 4th of February from 6:45 to 7:45 via Zoom. Free VIP mediumship development with Paul Sissel. Is it Sissel or Kissel? Uh, start Sunday, 6th of February from 7 p.m. to 8:30. I feel like a newsreader. And finally, we have Polly Harnett, who's doing a trance demonstration on Sunday, the 13th of March from 7:30. Okay, so I am available for Rune readings principally online. I'm also available for mediumship readings, but those are principally for evidence of survival. Of course, there are messages from loved ones. I can't promise what they will want to talk about, and I also can't promise that any particular person will want to communicate, although most often, if there's somebody that you want to communicate, most often that person will come along, but we can't guarantee it. And when we look by spirit people, we quite often think, well, I didn't, really, I wonder why that was said at the time. But when we look back, we can quite often see why it was said at the time. What we think is important at the time, our spirit communicators may not do. But again, that can change over time. And I always strive to make my readings inspiring, even when sometimes, life gets a little tough sometimes, and that shows up in the reading. I always try to make them inspiring and look at what we can do to help ourselves. Okay, well, good night, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure working with you.